This is Roger Stone for American Sovereign Bullion. Since 2020, the U.S. dollar has lost over 20% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to rise. Call 844-272-2428 or go to asbgold.com now to get your free gold and silver guide and learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver delivered to your door or held in a gold IRA today. So go to asbgold.com now. Don't wait for the markets to drop. That's asbgold.com.
Excuse me! Taxi! What are you doing?
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
We have with us in studio Vinny Vallelong. He, of course, is the president of the Sergeants Benevolent Association, representing so many sergeants across this great state and elsewhere too as well. Vinny, we're so happy to have you here. You're a former longtime also, right, sergeant there on the beat in Brooklyn. You were saying there are so many big cases. Let's get to this case about the water cooler. This is
Eric Duran.
Yeah, let's walk through what happened here. In this case, Duran, right? Eric Duran, found guilty of manslaughter. And a lot of people felt that was not fair because of the cooler that he threw at the abuse that our officers take. And I want you to explain what's at stake, because I know you guys and a whole bunch of others have signed petitions to try to keep him out of jail.
Optics are everything. And I get that the cooler it doesn't look good on TV, but what you don't see is an individual doing 30 miles an hour, barreling down towards police officers, towards children on the street, never stopping once, never slowing down, just going full bore towards everybody while there's arrests that are being made. So you have a sergeant now that was convicted, who was so many different medals, very active, thousands of street encounters, never, ever anything like this. And he's looking at doing possibly 15 years in jail.
Wow.
For doing his job. Maybe we find the right side of humanity on the other side of the moon.
That, now we're getting serious. We tell a few jokes here and there, but right now this is serious stuff.
But this is exactly what I mean.
That is horrible. And the guy didn't do it intentionally. He threw, what was it?
It was a cooler.
A cooler at him, trying to stop him.
It's the amount of force necessary to exact an arrest.
Normal course of business in my mind.
And the scary part about this is
who are the people doing this to him?
Well, this was a judge jury. This was a
bench trial.
This was a bench trial.
A bench trial. So it's
no
jury. It's a specific judge.
Listen. I don't know what the judge saw. I don't know how the judge perceived.
Are you allowed to say his name? It's public information.
It's public. Judge Weinberg, why don't you talk about the judge? And let me ask you, because all our listeners are wondering this too. What can the judge do? How much discretion does the judge have now?
Well, the first discretion is to keep him out of jail pending the appeal. That's the first thing that they should be asking for, and I'm sure they are. The second thing is they're going to perfect the appeal, and they have to litigate this. It was 2 counts in this indictment. The first count was manslaughter in the second degree. The second count was criminally negligent homicide. The judge, his name is Guy Mitchell, who I know, found him guilty of the higher count, the manslaughter too.
Did you need a 10th?
No.
Now this Judge Guy Mitchell.
It's recklessness.
Who put him on the bench?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but it was not Giuliani. Okay, so it might not have even been Bloomberg. All right, but let me move on. So count 1.
You know how to use Google. Find out. Give me artificial intelligence.
Manslaughter in the second. He was convicted on. He was acquitted by this judge on criminally negligent homicide. I don't understand how you reconcile those verdicts. They have good appeal lawyers. They're going to have to point that out. If anything, and I say, and there's a big if anything, it would be the second count that he might be more culpable of. Certainly not the manslaughter too. And frankly, based on the facts that I've read about this case, they should throw the whole thing out. This case should be set aside on appeal because he used reasonable care under the circumstances. He had a good defense. He was trying to protect other law enforcement and people on the street. And the fact is, it's unfortunate this fellow died, but he shouldn't have been running at 30 miles an hour on the motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think it's so important what you and also the judge are just saying, Vinny, is the circumstances that led up to that moment too. It's not like he just generically threw this cooler out. There were obviously extenuating circumstances that happened prior to.
Yep. It was a narcotics arrest, and he was fleeing the undercovers. He was fleeing the arrest. And Listen, in today's day and age of the reform movement and changing the way the criminal justice system is, everyone's looking to let all these criminals out of jail, and we're going to put someone who's dedicated his life to the community that he serves. He grew up in the Bronx. His family came here from Ecuador. I mean, he is the perfect story of someone who took this job to become a police officer and give back to the community. And we're going to judge him on a life and death decision that had to be made at that point in time.
Sending a split second.
Sending a very bad message to everybody across this country, which is why which is why we have so many people that signed on to this petition across the country. I mean, people are up in arms over this. They don't understand.
As they should. We all remember when that. I remember when that happened with the cooler.
It's different. It isn't as if he shot the guy in the back. He threw the damn.
And he was doing it after the guy was harassing officers. I mean, he was doing it to protect himself and the other officers.
He did not die from being hit with the water cooler. He died from falling off of the motor scooter, and it was also because of the rate of speed he was doing at the time. So he was not stopping. He was going directly at them. It's a tragedy.
Yes,
However,
it is it's a tragedy, but on the other hand,
this all could have been avoided.
And also, where is the deference that should go to officers? I mean, I don't know this judge, so I'm just speaking generically, Judge Weinberg, but the deference, if you're sitting there saying, okay, look, obviously nobody wants to see anybody die, but the officer was in this situation, right?
Okay. The point is they have to show recklessness. I don't believe that the New York Attorney General's office prove recklessness under these circumstances. And by the way, I want to make a contrast to this while Vinny is sitting here with us. Let's compare that to the Queen's case.
The Jonathan Diller case.
Right. Where
Let me explain to everybody who Jonathan Diller was. He was the 31-year-old officer, husband, father, and I couldn't believe this just recently. They gave that decision, the jury gave a lesser offense.
Again, found guilty of the manslaughter,
right, exactly.
but not the murder too.
The killer.
And if anything deserved a murder two conviction with specific intent for that act to have death and
Tony
killing.
Carbonetti, did you look up the judge who appointed him?
Bill de Blasio.
Bill de Blasio. That was the judge in the first case. Exactly.
Guy Mitchell in the Dupree case.
Yes, yes.
Right. I told you it was not Giuliani or Bloomberg, didn't I?
Right. And now so Vinny, before we let you go, I also want to hear about this case.
I guess Tony Carbonetti has larger testicles.
That's one way to put it. Vinny, what do you think about this particular case with Jonathan Diller too? Because on the flip side to the judge's point, the contrast, it was going before the jury. They could have thrown the book at this guy, monster, career criminal, Guy Rivera in Queens. And he's the one who took Jonathan Diller, 31-year-old cop, husband, father's life. They should have thrown the book at him.
You said it best, career criminal.
Yes.
All right, career criminal, that we are sending a message to every citizen in this city and in this state, and to every law enforcement across the country, that it's okay to be a criminal. It's okay to be a recidivist, because we're going to let you out. However, if you do something wrong, we're going to incarcerate you. This really makes no sense. I do not know what's going on in today's day and age.
Bizarro world.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. The world turns upside down. I think you're hitting a very important point, Vinny, too, for how tough it is to be a cop right now. And you hear these crazy politicians, whatever side of the aisle, sitting there saying defund the police.
Vinny, anything else to get off your chest?
No, thank you, though, John. I appreciate it.
No, because the NYPD has to come out and just listen. You're a union guy. They can't do anything to you. You can get it off your chest.
I'll say it. NYPD cops go out every day to protect us. You know what they want to do? Uphold the law and go home at night.
Exactly right.
That's what
to
they
their
want to
families.
do.
Exactly right.
Okay?
Need the resources.
Yes. Yeah. Need the resources, need the respect, and they deserve it.
Yeah. All we want is a safe city. That's all we want.
And these two
keep
cases,
it safe for us.
These two cases are absolutely detrimental to public safety.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we're spotlighting them. And Vinny,
thank you so much.
You got to come back anytime. Stick around too, please.
This is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.